Hi, Dougie Bird here from Douglas Tackle World here in the Gold Coast at number 8 Centreview Drive at Big Waters near Harbourtown. Hey guys, I'll just do the fishing report for this weekend, the 13th and 14th of November 2021. And what we're going to talk about is the weather first, and the weather is pretty crappy. So you might get offshore on Sunday morning, but it won't be far because it's a howling westerly, so you might be able to fish in close behind the surf for tailor, or perhaps on the close reefs for the odd snapper and lots of tailor. And probably you'd be pushing it to get out past the 24s, I think, without being too rough. You've got a big boat, up to you guys. But yeah, I'd be concentrating more on re-rigging my gear, checking my gear, getting it all ready for the dolphin fish and little black marlin that'll be here in a couple of weeks' time, so in numbers, so for a few weeks' time. As we know, up at Harvey Bay, they're already doing a ride on the little blacks. It's been really good, and there's a lot of mackerel around, even a few starting to show up in Moreton Bay as well, but predominantly sort of Bundaberg to Double Island Point. And they progress south as time goes on over the next few weeks. And the bait's starting to ball up a little bit out the front here as well. So it all coincides with water temperature. At the moment, I would expect the water would have been a bit warmer than what it is, but it's still only around about 23. Normally it would be probably getting close to 25 by mid-November, but not yet. And about global warming, what's going on, but it's not happening at the moment. So I'd be probably, while this weather's bad, get your little skirt of lures ready, like just 4 to 6 inch size in this sort of category, that sort of thing there, if you can see that. And check your rigs from last year. If they need hooks, need sharpen them, grab a file, sharpen them up, check your leaders, make sure they're not chafed from last year's fish. And if they don't need re-rigging, then good. And if they do, or if you're a bit worried about how to rig them up, just bring them in and we'll rig them up for you. We do all that for you. We only charge you for the lure and the hook rig, and we don't charge you for the rigging of it up, okay? That's part of one of our traits, is professionally rigging up your lures for you. So yeah, welcome to do that while this weather's crappy. Otherwise, I can tell a little bit about the fishing offshore, how it was in the last week. And you might have saw that in a report that comes out sort of on Tuesday or Wednesday. But it was, last Saturday the weather was meant to be really nice, but it wasn't really nice. And those who went out got a few fish. It was a lunchtime, mid-morning bite to lunchtime bite. There's some good fish caught out in the deep, some good cod and other types of fish. And there's some good pearlies on the back side of the 50 fathom reef, on the east side of it. And there's a few kingies and some big amberjacks caught on the north east 50 fathoms. And the east reefs as well, and a few snapper on the east reefs. On the 36s, there's a lot of trag and a lot of flatties, the odd snapper. On the 24s, there was a couple of snapper caught, some good ones actually, around that 70 centimetre size. There's still some dewies around Mulloway, and a heap of flathead and a few parrot and stuff like that. There was no current hardly at all again last weekend. It was very, very quiet on the current side. Even in the deep water, it was very quiet, which is unusual for November. Maybe that's why they're picking up that hot northerly, subtly heading down south, warm current from up north hitting us yet. I have no doubt it won't be far away. When it hits, it's 3 knots, then it's warm. And that's when we get all the dolphin fish and all the pelagics turn up. We are doing a seminar next Thursday night on dolphin fish, catching how to catch dolphin fish. It's a really good seminar. We talk about trolling, skirt lures. We talk about casting live baits and baits, and also talk about casting stick baits and lures that work really well around fads and around any debris or anything you see in the water that holds dolphin fish. So a good night. That's on next Thursday, the 17th, I think it is. But yeah, so if you have a chance, actually 13, 14, 15, 16, I think it's the 17th or 18th, might be 18th, sorry. If you have a chance to get along to that, you're welcome to get along. Just check out our details in our fishing report on Tuesday, Wednesday, more about it. But that's about it for offshore, guys. So I think this weekend's a bit of a write-off. Saturday is definitely horrid. It's 25 to 30 knots of west, northwest, and then swings west, southwest on Sunday. They are saying 15 to 20 knots But obviously out wider that'll be probably 25 to 30 knots once you get out about 10k or 15k's, and it'll be ugly. So yeah, up to you guys. So now we'll venture on to the inshore fishery. The inshore fishery has been, well, it's been off and on. The jacks started to really come on, 'cause it's so humid, and there's some good jacks caught too, by the way. The problem being that we've had a bit of rain, and we're probably going to get a bit more rain maybe. I don't know where the 100 mil is they talked about. I haven't seen it yet, but up north they have, but not down the Gold Coast here. The water's still quite clear at the moment. It's not too bad, and the Westleys generally clear the water up pretty good as well, as long as there's not too much north in it. So this weekend, it may be worth having a go for mangrove jacks up in the canals. The canals are at the warmest at the moment. The rivers are a bit colder than the canals by about 2 degrees, and the broadwater's obviously colder than canals too by about 2 degrees. So if you want to go catch jacks, head up the canals at Runaway Bay, Paradise Point, Calypso Bay if you can get in there, around Central Cove if you can get in there. Definitely Broad Beach and Nerang, Benoa, and even down Mermaid and Burleigh, Crumben. Anywhere where there's canals off the main rivers and creeks we have down further south will hold jacks at this time of the year. Fish structures, fish pontoons, cast surface lures first up in the morning, then swing around to plastics or deep divers as the day goes on. Talking about deep divers, these new ones out from Reddick, they're very similar to other brands in that sort of 79, 80 mil size. They're a deep diver, they get down about 2 metres or so, and they're a great lure to crank along the edge of pontoons and stuff like that. They do a really good range of colours. They're Samaki Reddicks. Great range of colours, there's about 10 colours we have. And a great trolling lure for flatties too. So that's the other thing that's happening at the moment is flathead. So there is a flathead competition on this Sunday. It's a flatty dash for cash, which is held by the Gold Coast Sportfish Club. I think it's 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and it's an online competition. So you register online through the club, and you register your fish as you catch them and whatever online as well. So if you're interested in doing that, look at the Gold Coast Sportfish Club and jump online and work out how to do that. But I would dare say a lot of people will be flathead fishing up the Pin this weekend. It's going to be a very early high tide on Sunday morning, so around that sort of 5 o'clock time. So the tide will already be running out when the comp starts at 6, I dare say. And I would be probably focusing on fishing the deep more than the shallows, unless you can find somewhere, but it's not a very big high tide. So most of those banks, we get them up in the flats, are going to be like barely fishable because of the depth of the water is going to be very shallow. So they'll probably slide off into the deep pretty early, I'd say. Yeah, but that competition's your 5 biggest flatties. Plenty of whiting around. I saw some good catches around Gold Bank, which is opposite Millionaires Row up the jumping pin area. I normally get them this time of the year up around Slipping Sands, between Slipping Sands and Russell on that edge of North Straddie there. That's a good area. Definitely worth trying up around Cabbage Tree Point on the banks between Cabbage Tree Point and Rocky Point to the east of that area. Those banks are really good for whiting. Yabbies and worms, of course. And then back down around the Pimpamar, try around the Pimpamar River as well for whiting as well. Tailor, look, there should be tailor on the beaches with this westerly blowing over the weekend on Straddie, North Straddie and South Straddie, and maybe around the Pin Bar. So worth having a look. The swell's meant to get up to 1.5 metres. I saw on the report, on the weather report, but I was down the beach this morning early. It was lucky to be 0.5 metre, so it may pick up as it does overnight. So just check that. Yeah, that's probably about it for up the jumping pin area. A few muddies and a few sandies as well. Come down the Broadwater end of town, down this way. The Seaway would definitely be probably worth fishing for flatties, both north and south walls of Seaway. Crank it up along those edges where the sand spots are up on the on top where the rocks are, right where the water's at its highest peak on the inside of the walls, and look for those sandy spots and cast up on the sandy spots or on the next ledge down. A big area, you can drift like a K that way and nearly half a K south, you know, K north and half a K south. It's a great stretch to just cast as you're drifting with the tide. I'd be using plastics, obviously. One of the plastics doing really well at the moment have been the bigger version, the boom baits, sorry, they're called, from Samaki, been really good. And from Berkeley power baits, the big shrimp, it's been really good as well. Fishing a really, really small jig head like that size, casting it sort of up current and hopping it back with the current with that little small jig head. And these have been really good. There's little Samaki ones. This would be called Ikuda, but I think they're now called Samaki. Those little shrimps, they're really, really good as well. Great things. Okay, so other than that, Whiting, Nerang River has perfect tides this weekend. You've got high tide. It's an hour later up there, an hour and a half later. So if it's 5 o'clock in the Seaway, it's 6 o'clock up there, and which is a great tide. Obviously Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon in the Nerang River in the council chambers, and you fish the run-out tide in the dark. Okay, you need yabbies and you need worms preferably. Also good tide for up the Coomera. You get run-in tide early morning, like if you get there at 4 in the morning, fish the last 2 hours of the run-in tide. Up there it'll be about 6:30 high, or 7 o'clock. It's about 2 hours later up in that area. So yeah, you get there 4:30, 5 o'clock, fish the last 2 hours of the run up, and fish the yabbies and worms again. And anywhere sort of in the stretch from Paradise Point boat ramp to Sentry Cove, just look for the flats or the edges of the banks, and yeah, you'll get fish. I would probably also look at maybe even going up the river a bit further for the whiting if it's a bit windy. Head up around sort of Bundle to Carrara, even up as far nearly as the bridge up at near the stadium at Carrara there anyhow, the one right up. So along that big straight there, there's a few banks there that they're not obviously exposed. They come up from sort of 8 to 4 or 5 foot deep, and they sit on top of those banks and feed at this time of the year. And that's a really good area, but you need worms up there, folks. There's a Jackson and that, and then beach fishing, well, there should be Taylor around on these westerly winds I said earlier on Straddie. They'll obviously be on the spit, and they'll be further down around maybe in front of Focus there, and further down around Mermaid and Tugun, try down as far as Tugun, and give that a go. Probably the only thing I would maybe try this weekend, you've got, as I said, high tide early morning on Sunday and Saturday, and just on before dark in the afternoon. So there are still a few squid around. So get your squid jigs out there. Get out about an hour before the high tide. So I'd be getting out sort of either 5 in the morning or 4:30 in the afternoon and fishing that last hour of the run-in tide. Fish the channels sort of anywhere from Efferin Island all the way down to the Grand along the Western Channel, and just look for the weed patches in the middle of the channel. The water's quite clear, as I said, at the moment. Look for those weed patches and just drift over the weed patches in the middle of the channel, not on the edge of the channel, but in the middle of the channel. Okay, and make sure your jig's pretty on the bottom most of the time. Give that a go. Freshwater scene. Okay, I haven't heard of lots of bass, except for lots of bass on baits. So the lure's been quiet. But that was before the rain we had the last couple of days. So normally have a fair bit of rain, the dam rises a little bit, and a lot of food on the edges of the dam becomes like a lot of insects that they can't get up the hill a bit further, become food for the bass, and they love taking surface lures, so little walkers on the surface. These little jitterbugs, now they've got tails on them and jointed, and they're just such a great lure. The American lure, of course, the jitterbug, like that style there, and you just walk them on the surface, and they're like that on the surface. Very visual, and you can see the bass that smash them, and it's a great time to do that early, first thing in the morning, or just before dark. And would be worth going around the edges of the Hinds Dam, just past Ian's Island there, maybe around the timber there, or where the if they've got it open on the eastern side, we put in near the water tower there, head south up amongst the timber and on the edges, and do the same thing again up there as well, and try for bass. I think the Warralong Dam is spilling over at the moment. That's also a good dam at the moment for bass as well. Give that a go. There's heaps of tilapia in there too, I think I heard, and big carp. If you want to catch big carp, good fun. No good to eat. And that's probably about it for the fishing report for this weekend. And if you get a chance to get out there, give it a go, and hopefully, let's just hope the weather gets better next week. It's been horrendous for many, many weeks, as we know, with the very odd half a day in amongst it all. So it does make fishing quite unpleasant at the moment. But anyhow, good luck. See how you go, and we'll catch you next week. So we'll put out a midweek report on Tuesday, Wednesday, with anything that's happened over this next few days. Sorry, and then we'll give you some idea what to prepare for the next weekend. And just to let you know too, obviously we've got the rigging at the moment for our lures. Welcome to bring your lures in, we'll re-rig them for you. And also we've got all our lures at 30% off in the whole shop. And we've got so much new stock, guys, like all the Shimano reels that have been out of stock forever, just about all in stock again. And we've got a massive order from Daiwa coming next week as well. And heaps and heaps and heaps of lures and stuff. I think this week we've probably got around about, restocked about 4,000 different products. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff in here at the moment. And a lot more to come. Okay, good luck out there on the weekend. Be safe. And please chase up our YouTube channel, Doug Burt's Fishing Channel, and you'll learn heaps off there. And for those of you who've been doing that, I really appreciate it, your patronage. And please tell your mates to have a look and like and click it and all that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you next week. That's Doug Burt from Doug Burt's Tackle World, number 8 Centreview Drive, just off Brisbane Road behind Harbour Town. Thank you, bye.